how to create depth and space in the mix. I'm gonna show y'all how I do it. I'm gonna show y'all like best ways to do it. Without further ado, let's start talking. Let's get right in it. Boom, bam. Creating depth and space in a mix is really important since you just want like an immersive feel in your music. Whatever type of music you make, you know, it's just, one can argue, it's just more like beneficial if you can make it more immersive and more just like wide, more interesting in that sense. You know, kind of adds the whole experience instead of having music sound more flat. So I first got to understand the difference between depth and width. Depth is kind of just like using effects to make it seem like your sound is more just open. You know, reverb and delay are two tools that are very popular that you can use to make your mix sound like it has more depth to it. And some tools you can use to make your mix sound like it's more wide. You can use panning. You can use stereo width as well to make your mix sound more wide. So we're going to dive into panning. And so panning is kind of just like differentiating frequencies on like where they are in the frequency spectrum and kind of just nudging them towards that side to create a more like spread out, more open mix, more wide mix. So I have a piano and a pad here. And so with these two sounds, you know, so they're probably going to clash. From my experience, I know they're going to clash a little bit in the frequency spectrum. So what we can do is, so we can take these two EQs. Now this EQ on the left is going to be my piano. This one on the right is going to be my, my pad that I have. So let's just listen to the piano. Boom. Now this is the pad. You can kind of get an idea of how they're going to clash, right? So let's see them both together now. So let's go like boom. See how they're kind of clashing? What is this? You're going to be like around, I guess, 600. Boom. Yeah, 600 in my class. So we can do with panning is in a situation like this. So I see that the piano has more high end than this pad, right? It just has more active high end around here. So what we could do is we can then pan the piano sound to the right just a little bit. And if you can see in the top right, I'm sorry, top left of the screen, that number is going to be 25% right now, which is really like the furthest that I like to go for panning. We're going to push it 25% to the right. We can push the pad 25% to the left. This is just kind of like nudging the sound of where we're going to hear it at in terms of like if we're listening to it. Nudging these sounds to that direction is going to push the sound to that side of wherever the sonics are coming from. So push this pad, let's say all the way to the left right here using this panning tool. If you had a pair of headphones on, then this sound would mainly just be on your left side right here. And obviously right side is the opposite, so that's panning for you. Boom. So when you have, let's say, headphones on, this is going to create more of a wide feeling because the sound is going to be like differentiated between the sides that you listen to them on. And that way it's going to sound a little more defined and not as muddy. Another huge thing is reverb. I like to just use this free reverb too. I really don't mess with any of these settings. I just mess around with the wet knob. Obviously, I set my piano to about 70% with the free reverb too. You're adding these effects for depth and width. Just want every sound to sound more realistic. But yeah, reverb is really amazing. I really use it on damn near everything. You can just use that. You can use reverb with an EQ and a little bit of delay and you'd be like golden on any old instrument. But now let's drown it. Reverb. How about that? Let's go like. Makes it sound way more full. Another thing that I mentioned is delay. So a delay is going to make the piano sound just like echo. This time knob from Free Delay 3. Free Delay 3 is the delay that I use. You just mess around with the time knob to differentiate like how fast the delay echo of the sound is going to go. So if I turn this up, it's going to slow down. If I turn it down, it's going to speed up. And so this level knob is going to tell you like how long the delay is going to go for. So we're just going to turn this down and be like, you see. So if we turn it, the higher this level knob is, the longer the delay is. And this wet knob is going to be how fast the impact of the echo goes down as time goes on. So which is really cool. You can go ahead and like just play this how it is right here. Oh, let's turn the level up. And you can turn this wet knob down, and you really hear the difference in like the second hit right here. It's like. And my last thing that I want to touch on is to add more width, which is stereo width. Stereo width is just another way to, again, replicate how music would sound like in like real life if you're listening to it from a consumer's perspective. So let's say like in a car or with earbuds in or with headphones in. And so in order to mimic that, or in order to do that, you can go ahead and go down here. This little circle right here is going to be your stereo separation. So if you move this knob all the way to the right, you're going to introduce something called mono. This means that whatever sound you have is going to hit in the middle and only in the middle. And this is good for making certain sounds stick out if you want them to stick out. Or in other words, your low end and your snares and your vocals. That's where, like, as a rule of thumb, you really want like 808s, your kicks, your vocals, snares or rims or claps, and you want your vocals. It's just traditional practice that a consumer would want those sounds that are like traditionally standing out to be like stood out to them when they're listening to the sound. So if we were to turn this knob all the way to the left, then we introduce stereo. This knob can really drown out sound very easily if you turn this knob way too much to the left. We're going to crank this thing to 25% separated at most, you know. I feel like that's enough. You can really hear the difference. I like mixing my whole track in mono and then taking the track off in mono when it's all leveled. Because at that point, you're mixing all the sounds to sound full and wide. Then when you take the master off mono, things are just going to sound like that much more better. So little mixing hack 101. Stereo separation is, again, it's just a great way to make your track sound more wide. Whatever sound you put it on, just make it sound like more wide, more full. Another thing that I did want to touch up on, which is a huge mixing tip in terms of like making sounds sound like more prominent, is you can add EQ to like create pockets for certain sounds. Sounds like they're supposed to be in this frequency, and other sounds sound like they're supposed to be in this frequency. So let's take this piano on this pad that I recently set up, and so let's say like this piano is more prominent in the right side of the mix. So let's play it right here. So let's say I wanted to boost this frequency at 1438. We'll just boost it at like 3 decibels. Then we'll go to the pad, and we said 1438, so we'll go here to 1438. Boom, and then we'll decrease it by 3 decibels. I don't think that big of a cut is necessary, so we'll bring this down to like 20%. And then we'll find this boost where the pad is. Let's say like 426, boom. So we'll go to 426, boom, and then we'll go to the piano, and then we'll create a cut at, you guessed it, 426. So 426, boom. Create this pocket, boom. Again, we don't need this cut to be as big as that, so reduce the cut size 20%, and now boom. Now essentially what we've done is created pockets for each of these instrument sounds, so basically it's not going to sound as muddy again as we did before, because now the sounds are just going to sound more prominent as like the strength of each sound has been boosted, and now we've made like cuts in each sound for like the other one to shine, where like those frequencies and the sounds may have not been as prominent. So it's just like boosting where we should, or where the frequency is in a sound, and then creating space for a like accompanying sound that might be clashing like nearby in terms of like the frequency spectrum. Those are some like really solid tips. If you incorporate all these tips, your mix is just going to sound that much more like clear and defined and full, definitely more wide, and have like more depth if you just mess around with these. So yes, sir. So that's how you can increase depth and width in your mix. You know, if you really just like remember these 4 things, if you can utilize reverb, delay to increase depth in your mix, you can utilize panning and stereo width to increase the width of your mix, you'll be golden for real. And if you can incorporate some EQ to make sure like certain sounds shine over other certain sounds at certain frequencies, you know, to make those like cuts and adjustments, you'll be golden for sure. And it's gonna sound like way more just like full, just way more like immersive than if you were just leave it all flat like that and add none of those effects. So again, I appreciate y'all for rocking me in this video. If you do like watching videos like this one, make sure to subscribe to this channel. We'll be posting a lot more videos just like this one. Appreciate y'all again. I'm gonna see y'all on the next one. Doses.